Welcome to today's story time at Forrest Ward School. Today we're going to continue reading in King Arthur. We're going to start at page 28. I'm sorry about the abrupt ending of our first segment. We're still learning how to use the camera properly. So we'll begin at 28 again. When Arthur in his palace at London had received the homage of all the lords and princes from the lands south of Humber, he appointed his officers. Sir Kay he made seneschal or steward, and Sir Bodwin was made constable, and Sir Ulfius he named chamberlain of his court. By the counsel of Merlin he made Sir Bedivere warden of the northern marches. For the lands of the 11 kings lay mostly in the country north of Trent, and though those princes had yielded lip service to Arthur, Merlin knew that in their hearts they nurtured the seeds of conspiracy. King Arthur made a progress through all his territories, staying at the halls of those who did service for the lands they held of him, and he commanded all those who had suffered evil or wrong to come to him, and many came. The king's wrath when he heard a tale of women and orphans wronged or robbed or evilly treated by proud or powerful lords and knights was terrible to see. Many were the pale captives he released from their deep dungeons. Many were the tears he wiped away, and hard and heavy was his punishment of evil lords who thought their power would forever shield them from penalty for their cruelties. When this was done, he caused a proclamation to be uttered that he would hold his coronation at the city of Caerleon upon Usk, at the feast of Hallowmass then following, and he commanded all his loyal subjects to attend. When the time came, all the countryside on the marches of Wales was filled with the trains of noblemen and their knights and servants gathering towards the city. As Arthur looked from the window of the palace which the Romans had builded, and which looked far and wide over the crowded roads, word was brought to him that 6 of the kings who had resented his kingship had come to the city. Thinking that these kings and knights had come for love of him and to do him worship at his feast, King Arthur sent them many and rich presents. But his messengers returned, saying that the kings and knights had received them with insults, and had refused to take the gifts of a beardless boy who had come, they said, of low blood. Whereat the king's eyes flashed grimly, but at that time he said no word. In the joustings and knightly games that were part of the festival of the coronation, the 6 kings ever ranged themselves against King Arthur and his knights, and did him all the despite they could achieve. At that time they deemed themselves not strong enough to hurt the king, and therefore did no open act of revolt. Now it happened, when the feasting was over and many of the kings and lords had departed home again, that Arthur stood in the door of his hall that looked into the street, and with his 3 best nobles, Sir Kay, Sir Bedivere, and Sir Bodwin, he watched the rich cavalcades of his lords pass out of the town. Suddenly, as he stood there, a little page boy, fair of face, but for the pitiful sorrow and gauntness upon it, dashed from the throng of a lord's retinue which was passing, and threw himself along the ground, his hands clutching the feet of the king. "O King Arthur, save me," the lad cried, spent of breath, "or this evil lord will slay me as he hath slain my mother and my brothers." From the throng a tall black knight, leaping from his horse, strode towards the boy, and would have torn his hands from their hold upon the king's feet. "Back, Sir Knight," said the king, "I will hear more of this. Who are you?" The king laughed insolently. The knight laughed insolently. I am one that the last king knew well to his sorrow. I am Turquine, brother to Sir Caradoc of the Dolorous Tower." What is this boy to you?" "He is Owen, the captive son of a brave father, who gave him to my care